Alright guys, hey, I wanted to review our first game against Miami Vice over this last Tuesday. So starting off with like pre-game shit that I go on about, we'll go over runes with the Malphite, who you could probably confirm with Tristan or not, preferably him. So I was thinking maybe like we could swap from what we currently have this game into like Grasp, Shield Bash, Second Wind, and Overgrowth with Mana Flow, Band, and Transcendence as our secondary runes. That way we have enough like to sustain like within the lane from Second Wind Overgrowth, and like we can also get like permanent stats from like the Grasp and the Overgrowth as well. And we should have a decent amount of mana coming back towards us with the Mana Flow Band, which would be nice. Going on from him, I know he's our sub player, but like it's good to build up knowledge and other people's roles and different champions. I think like the Nocturne is pretty good to swap from Last Stand to Coup de Grace. That way he is dealing a little more damage to the Smolder. Because his job this game is to just dive on him and make sure we actually kill. I do believe that would be the case for him. And then I did check that eventually, like, third item on Nocturne should either be like Guardian Angel or Sterix, because you just basically want to either like get that second life in a team fight, or you just want to like be able to sustain throughout a fight. In this game he had the gold to actually go for the GA, but like he opted into Sterix, which I do get that Sterix is a bigger power spike in terms of damage, but like if we can, I think whenever we're just getting blown up by like the Vi, Yone, and Smolder later on, then it just feels really bad in not having a GA. Especially whenever we have the lanes that are just like horrendously down. Moving on from the Nocturne to the Orianna, I really do like our entire primary tree, and then like looking at our secondary tree, I would like to talk about this. Secondary can kind of be swapped in and out from whatever precision parts that you want to pick up. You could either go Haste, Presence of Mind, or Cut Down. Swapping your Presence of Mind to Cut Down this game would have had given you a little more damage throughout your lane phase and the entire game itself. That way we can be a little more lane dominant, and maybe try to get some like early harass down onto this Yone, kind of relieve some pressure. That way we're not attempting to rely on this just like resource sustain from Presence of Mind. And then going forward with the Sivir, I don't think it's actually all that terrible. We finally started learning and taking up Bloodline, which feels really good because we get the lifesteal. And we end up getting a little health. Taking Absolute Focus and Gathering Storm feels pretty good because we end up becoming like a scaling threat. We do a little more damage, feels great. In other cases, it's, Inspiration with like Boots and Cosmic or whatever, and then Biscuits if we need to sustain. I don't think Sorcerer's bad here, but just as long as we're aware and like why we're choosing things is good. Sorcerer's fine just because we have a winning lane, I do believe. The next person I wanted to talk about was this Nico. I understand that like I did okay the runes that like we had planned going in, but hindsight, I actually don't really care for it. Really requires us to hit like all of our abilities, which it looks like we kind of struggled with in hitting like them in quick succession. So I do think maybe just like hitting one and then like paying it off with like Comet would have been a lot better. So we could have went like Comet, Nimbus, Celerity, Scorch with like Cosmic Insight, and Biscuits or Boots depending on how the lane phase goes. They don't have a whole lot of poke, so we probably wouldn't need the Biscuits. They'll just be a Boots buy. Saves us the 300 gold as well. Then items. Should just be Rocket Belt into Celestial Opposition for your support item. Get a little tank gear for the risky plays that you're going to be putting yourself into. And then you can build into Zanya's. That way we get a get out jail free card. Helps our team catch up to us, and we can just be a little scary with our playstyle. Then for spells, we can swap the Exhaust to Ignite. I don't know why we like are this this Exhaust Merchant as a player. Doesn't really do anything. Whenever we have a winning lane like this, like there's no real reason for us to take the Exhaust because they don't even want to fight. They just want to scale in anyway. So Exhaust doesn't really do anything for us here. Okay, going back in time to the first 30 seconds, I did a little review already with a few of our members. But Sivir ends up walking down here, and she like places a ward in this bush, and then he realizes his mistake or whatever, and then he comes back in. And eventually just sits in this bush. And so looking at the bigger picture of like what our team is attempting to do and accomplish, I do believe it's a little easier to just have our 4 teammates actually invade up to the top half. And then just let the Sivir actually like ward here in Banana and just like stand here or stand where she's at. It's probably better to actually just stand like in the bush, because by the time Sivir wards Banana Bush and then comes back down, Pixel Brush is a little scary for her. So we end up defending most of the blue quadrant on our side, and then we get in, vision up there, and we'll have 4 people. It allows the Malphite and the mid laner to get to their lanes a little easier. So we don't have to do any weird like recalls or anything, or traversing across an entire map. The only one that would have to would end up being like the Nico or whatever. Or Nocturne if he so chooses to start blue buff. And then after that was 1:30. We get a good chunk. And then as this is spawning, we see the Vi at the last second cross, and we see her actually crossing down to her red side, which should let everybody know, assuming everyone's looking at their map, especially junglers and like top laners, like we're not really doing anything just quite yet, since we're trying to play relatively safe and we're just going to be farming anyway, praying you're not just staring at your phone or just alt tabbed out. But we did spot Vi on the mini map, even if it was a second, so as long as you didn't blink, you wouldn't miss it. So we can tell from right off rip that she's going to start from red side, pathing up for top scuttle. So that should be the game plan, which kind of lets the mid and bot lane know that she is available to gank, like right around 220 to 230-ish, because that's whenever she'll finish like all 3 of her camps. If she wanted, if we're like hard pushed bot, she could go from red down to Krugs and then gank us, but then she would lose a lot of tempo. Typically not very worth, but it is a possibility if they are psychotic. 220 is the next time spam that I have. It's mostly just a bot lane thing, is we get push, and whenever we are pushing, we happen to actually, I don't know why it's doing this, but it is perfectly fine. Cool. Make me look like a fucking ass for a second. We do have wards, and we're pushing the lane in, right? So as we're pushing this wave forward, we need to send somebody up here to ward here. That way we just like see if their Milio decides to walk up and place vision, or if like Vi actually wants to gank us early, because we should have an understanding where she's starting. So let's keep ourselves safe and not throw the game from just lack of preparation. The next timestamp is 3:30. Cool beans. Guess I'll go fuck myself. Right around here, I go over quite a lot of jungle stuff, but him finishing at 3:30 isn't that great, because that means his clear is really slow. He didn't manage to actually finish his camps and been all the way over here at 3:30. So then, like, if we watch, we can see this guy move really, really slow. So by the time he actually first hits it, he's about 12 seconds a little too late, when he could have been here and he could have finished this within those seconds, right? And it's pretty quick. So as we can tell, it only took him like, what is that, like 7-ish seconds. So in those 12 seconds, he could have finished this and been pathing immediately down to bot scuttle, or since like top lane's push, there's no play top. Nothing really happening mid. No real mana, no real gank setup. So he could just either invade for vision onto their blue side, or he could path down immediately trying to double scuttle the Vi, which the Orianna and the Nico should currently be playing for this bot scuttle. We could have the Orianna walk down here, and she should be able to ward like right around here, and then Nico should ward here. And then if we see Vi coming from either side, from top or bot, then we can just pinch with 3 people, you know, 2 from bot and 1 from mid, and then just ensure that she's behind. But we should be able to have that much team play. And I will say we did not, but a little unfortunate. Go to 345, which is right around now. Oh, for some reason our Silver drops a ward inside the middle lane bush. I'm not entirely sure why. Whenever we have the winning lane, they're not looking to bush cheese. Milio's not a poke style champion. She's not a hook champion. I guess, fuck it. Milio is not some type of really hard engage. So we don't have to worry about Milio attempting to bush cheese, you know? So let's not waste a ward on that. And then Nico's playing on inside the bushes, trying to be a little sneaky about it. Sivir's playing a little far. Basic lane shit is we can see the distance between these two guys, and if Nico walks forward, Sivir is mostly out of range, and then her Q would probably only hit to about here. If she throws it right now, it won't hit. She'd have to step forward, and if Nico walks forward, then the opposing laners would probably just walk back, just to dodge. So Sivir is unable to play. But that's what we're able to discern from this little thing. Going on to 420. I covered this in our previous little bit, but having a ward around here from 420 to 430 should show us that if we didn't see Vi starting her red side at 130, then we should know that she definitely didn't start blue side at the start of the game, because then her Gromp should be spawning, right? So the way jungle camps work is typically after you finish one, then they will respawn in this order. So we can see like the way our Nocturne's camps are spawning, right? He started blue side, so we know that this will spawn at 420, this will spawn at 440, this spawns at 5, and then like assuming he goes from Raptors to red to Krugs, then this will probably spawn at like 530, maybe 40, just depending on how fast he clears everything. So that's how we can like determine the math on things, and just being able to not see a camp on Vi's side should allow us to figure out new information for us. Though that comes at understanding how jungle works. And then there is a play that ends up happening bot lane, which for the most part is just Sivir gets chunked, Nico comes in, Nico sees the Yone, and then we just kind of like give up on the Yone instead of like going over this wall and like helping to play for the Sivir a little more. And then we make some like really odd like flash play onto the Sivir's life, when if we just followed him in and just exhausted, we probably could have prevented most of this entire little bit here. We get the flash, we get another flash, we get the kill. We have no fear coming from the Nocturne. It's on 12 seconds. It's not really worth anything. We lost both summons from the Nico, getting the kill. It's fine. We didn't really lose anything besides summoner spells. So around this time, you just need to like calm things rather quickly. Just tell Orianna go back to lane and farm. Tell Sivir and Nico to just like hit the wave and then make sure they can clear it out. Mostly just like get the Sivir the XP, and then after that we'll let the Sivir recall. And the Nocturne, like, he needs to go up and just finish his camps. We'll just let the Milio just walk away alive. They already are losing a lot, so we don't really need to worry about too much. And like regarding earlier, we did die in the bot lane, mostly just because we like was playing too much for the lane instead of actually like doing what we were supposed to, and not dying to the Vi. Since she's a low resource jungle, she doesn't really need ult or a bunch of items to be present. She can just get level 2, level 3, and then just start ganking from there. So that's currently why she's meta for the most part. So as long as we're aware, that would be good. But now we need to go to 7 minutes. So after we get to right around 7 minutes, Dragon's still on the map currently, and we have Nocturne going into his blue side. So plays will eventually be made, because now, just judging from this perspective, it's not exact the vision that we had, but from what is 100% true. We can see that Vi has camps spawning in her red side, so she's going to have to go to her red side because then like she's got camps next to Dragon. She has nothing top side, so it makes no sense for her to come here. And since Nocturne has his camp spawning here right now for this Dragon, it shows that he's obviously attempting to play for Dragon even if he doesn't 100% know that for a fact. And Vi also was doing the exact same thing. By getting their buff timers to spawn now, then they're playing on the side of first Dragon. So now what needs to happen is we need to make sure that everyone's strong for this Dragon. So we can see that people have some gold and some people are off fresh reset. So since we have the winning bot lane, we just want to get these two people to push the lane forward a little bit and get vision like right along here. Nocturne places pink here, not entirely sure why, because we have a pink here already from one of our bot laners. It should have been moved up to around here. Even like in Dragon Pit is good enough. One of the two. I do think that would have been fine. But as long as we have a bunch of vision here so we can see what they're attempting to do for this first Dragon, it allows us to play the game pretty well. And it was very possible to get the double scuttle for our jungler, but that didn't really happen. Going forward, we can go to right around at like 7:30. Fuck off. Which was a Sivir thing. We picked Sivir because we don't really play too much of Xayah. We have Spell Shield up and ult, but we held both buttons against the Vi ult, and she can't use other abilities during her ult animation. So we could have just like tanked the ult, blocked it with our shield, and then like also used the R to get closer to tower, draw her in. We don't have flash, we can't fully draw her into tower, it feels a little bad. And then the closer we get her to tower, we get Nocturne to jump. We don't have to play on top of the smolder here. We would just kill the vibe, stay alive, they can't contest dragon, and we just play for the dragon immediately afterwards. Because then we would just have like Nocturne as well as the Nico, and then like whenever Orianna gets closer to mid and Yone resets, then we would have more people on the map. So it would feel really good. Though none of that really happens. Sivir dies, holds buttons, and then Nocturne also dies here in this play. Feels really bad. Large misplay. Completely avoidable. So after we end up losing people on the map, knowing that we lost two people bot and they're respawning, Malphite like does a misplay as well. He causes it to the point where he uses one ability too many by, I guess, fat fingering it. So he has no mana for his ult to get away, and he uses flash to try to get away, and he ends up dying anyway. So he substituted a 5-minute cooldown instead of his ult cooldown, which is like a minute and a half or whatever. So we're making these plays really, really hard to do, and we're giving free gold everywhere on the map. So it's like 600 gold in the bot lane, 300 gold in the top lane, 300 gold earlier, whenever Sivir like first dies in lane, or the Nico or whatever from the Vi gank. So we're just giving a fuck ton of gold, and it's not looking great. Smolder's 3-0. He's got a bounty. He's getting a CS lead very slowly. It will build up. What we could have done here is hopefully Malphite just doesn't int, he doesn't die, and then we could just swap the top lane to, or the bot lane to top, and then we could have moved like the Malphite to bot or whatever. And since he's going to be stacking armor anyway, he shouldn't be able to get punished too much, and then after we're done with the Void Grubs play, we can just reswap our lanes. But spoiler alert, that definitely does not happen. But we should be concocting a plan after losing and like be in constant communications of what we're attempting to do. Right around 8:50 is another thing where we end up playing the Void Grubs as a team. I wish it would fuck off. But right around here is let's get off this directed cam bullshit. Is whenever we can see that if Malphite just steps forward here, and just lets the Nocturne just finish this with Smite, and then Orianna walks forward with R, if Malphite will just press R like right in the middle, we get the double knock up on these guys, and then Oriana can just walk up and also hit her like full combo QWR. We'll burst the Vi down and probably kill her. Maybe not the Renekton. I feel like we probably could, just because we still have the Nico here, so she could probably come over here and just QW or whatever the button sequence is, and we should have enough damage to like full on kill 2 people, take all 3 Void Grubs, and then we can transfer this lead, because none of us should really die here. Just because it would be a Yone and a Million. They shouldn't have enough damage to actually like kill 4 of us here without us turning and just fighting on them. So after we do this play, we should be able to get our team to have Nocturne get the 2 kills, take the Scuttle, and then move down and take Blue and Gromp. And then after that, like, we can have the Nico just kind of hovering around. And then after we take the 3 camps here, the Nico can start resetting as Nocturne is taking the Gromp. And then Nocturne can leave, he can go back and take his red side, and then he can reset and go back down to his blue side camps. Though I don't think we had enough planning, enough experience in our respective roles and teams and whatnot. So none of this actually happens either. Feels a little bad. We're just letting a lot of these little moments slip through our fingers. Going a little forward, there is a mistake Nico does, which is pretty simple, of just int. We dodge something, and then we end up just tanking a fuck ton of damage, freaks out, and then he just kind of dies. Just flash, or just walk out, and make sure we don't, I don't know, but this is slowly snowballing their way into them just winning the game. Moving on to 12:30. So what should be happening here? It's pretty simple. Nico walked into lane at level 5, got the level up, and so now they're level 6. They're posing as the Sivir currently. Doing pretty well. We're establishing vision, which is fine. So, and like we saw that their bot lane ended up resetting. I do believe it is now good to allow time for our jungler to path his way back down from Krugs to Raptors to Wolves and to Gromp and to Dragon. So what we're doing here is good. So we swept this bush, we're sweeping this bush, and now we just need to ward in this bush. And then as long as we ward here and we get another ward at their entrance, we establish shallow vision in a vision line, right? Which would be really ideal for us as a team going forward. And we end up doing so. We see a pink ward and we don't deny it. We drop a pink in the dragon pit, and now we have 2 pinks side by side, which isn't too terrible, but you know, at least we have some type of vision set up, controlling the area. There looks to be a miscommunication between the Nico and the Oriana. And so now Nico kind of just ends up inting everything here. There's no like shield into the R from the Oriana, attempting to just like blow people up. We do have the Blackfire Torch. We should have quite a bit of damage to likely get like a single kill here with all of Nico's buttons and Oriana's buttons. So I do think like the kill onto the Vi was possible if we happen to attempt to salvage what we could. Though, I don't know, we're just continuing to give kills and it's just not very well. But yeah, the big no-nos about doing this is Nocturne just had to clear his red side. He's giving up Raptors to try to be here and salvage what he can. Sivir was kind of hostage bought by the wave. Can't really move without sacking up a wave. So let's just not do that. Let's try to get our team to scale into the game. And so now we go to 13-10, which feels a little bad because now we're already down people. We are now down Nico ult and the Oriana ult. So we are still waiting for our Nocturne ult to come off cooldown. So we just tell our team, hey, we can't play for this. We're down a few ults and our support's dead. There's no real reason to continue forward. So what we could do is just send our jungler back to clear his blue side into his red side. And then we could just continue on and just sending our laners back to lane. Basically just going back neutral. Instead, we end up forcing a play by sending the Malphite down here. We end up getting a flash and nothing really happens. We end up getting a little bit further and further behind. So it was definitely an overreach, a little bit of a forced play, but I do think it was something that we should definitely look to avoid whenever we do talk about the pregame and like the draft or the champ select going forward. It's just like, hey, we are a team that relies on ults, and then whenever we're looking at plays like this and we don't have those ult buttons to press, it should be a clear indicator of, hey, let's not fight. But then going past this is around 1540. Up here. We make a pretty large misplay. We get the catch on the smolder for a second. We're a little slow at pushing some of our buttons. Go back. We get the clone out. We're looking for it, and we throw our buttons pretty quick, but then we hesitate on pressing the R for quite a while. And it should have been easy to the point where we should have Sivir a little closer, but if you're paying attention, like watching the Sivir, she ends up attempting to sidestep the Smolder ult, but ends up spell shielding it anyway, and we're clicking too far back, so we can't walk with our Nico here and just full comboing down the Smolder, getting the free kill with the bounty onto really anybody. And we also have the Nocturne going in with the Malphite. So I do think we should have been able to easily take the Smolder kill. Him flashing out is probably an indicator enough to go, hey, we just have to get the fuck out. As the Sivir decides to start leaving and kites towards tower, we need the Malphite to actually just like walk down with the Sivir. That way we can continue free hitting the Smolder right here, getting some free damage, and if the Renekton turns to fight the Malphite, then we can also allow the Sivir to turn and hit the Renekton and or the Smolder with like QW, because we don't really have to actually auto him. So it should be good like chip damage, and we have the Orianna teleporting in, so it should be fine at like getting something here. Afterwards though, as the play continues to unfold, we get the Orianna present. She makes a really great play. She gets the double. Sivir ints by stepping too far forward. We're just not paying attention about like the giant crocodile on our map. And so we end up giving another kill for no real reason. Large misplays, honestly, just going around. And then 1830 is another one. And so this one is they start sieging tower. We need to start talking about, as soon as we see this Rift Herald, we see the Rift, and so we need to go, oh shit, what are we going to do? We have two options. Do we fight for the tower, or do we give up the tower? Does Rift kill it in one charge or no? It definitely does kill it in one charge. So we go, okay, we probably have to give up this tower, but that doesn't mean we can't fight for it immediately afterwards. So we have Malphite teleporting down, we have the Orianna walking from bot side to mid, and we've got the Nocturne walking down. If he ended up actually pathing towards mid lane, he'd be a little closer, so he can be in ult range for anything that happens. Although he won't be too far away anyway. So right around here is whenever we want to look to start taking this fight. Even though we don't have the Orianna present, we can definitely stall and do quite a lot of damage to this Vi. She's 005 with the bounty. Doesn't really matter too much because she has Trinity Force built, so she can't really tank a whole lot. So if we just send the Malphite forward and just ult, and then we send the Sivir to just free hit, and then the Nico to free hit, and like maybe a Q from the Nocturne, like Vi should just be straight up dead. And then after that, we should still have Nocturne ult to just send it straight on either the Renekton, and we just kind of like play front to back with it, or we just send it on to the Smolder, and then they panic at trying to stop this, and then it gives us time to have the Orianna walk up from behind, and then continue to play it from this angle. As we also continue to play front to back, because currently the Yone is showing and he's just pushing bot, which doesn't really matter to us too much. But I do think we could probably pick up 2 to 3 kills here, collect the bounty from the Vi, and then since we would get a few people, I think it's probably fair to assume that we could also pick up the wave and the tower in mid. But that's about it. Going a little forward to 1930. We've got to realize who's strong on our team. The Orion is definitely the person that's kind of scaling and carrying us. We get some really good catches. We end up getting 2 kills for our Oriana since she's our carry. We just got to be aware that, hey, Renekton's pretty fed currently. And Sivir currently has no damage. It's just an Essence Reaver. So I think we just need to tell our team, hey, let's fuck off. If we have to give up this dragon, then we give the dragon up. But right now, we can just play for the 2 kills, come up and hit this wave and push it into tower. And then it lets them gamble between defending the tower or playing for the dragon. If they play for dragon, we get tower. If they play for tower, then they save it, we get the wave, and we just come over and we get bot scuttle, but also we can look to play for the dragon immediately afterwards. So, because they would be forced to walk into us, and it would be really hard for them to walk into us after that. But yeah, that ended up not really happening either. 2050 is the last little bit that we have here. It's a thing for Nico. So, watching this Nico, she ends up just kind of like fucking off 50 seconds after our Edicon spawns. It doesn't really accomplish too much. If we see just basically full wards and everything, feels really bad. Went the mage support item, so it's more damage. Doesn't really like give survivability whenever we're trying to play like pseudo frontline. But yeah, like we're just not getting any type of wards. We can't really see anything. This shit's just kind of dark as fuck. Sivir's also holding blue trinket, so we're not establishing like deep vision into their red side or next to their Krugs. Because since the Edicon is up, we need to be aware that that is the next objective to contest for on this map. If they get it, we lose. If we get it, it turns the game a little more winnable. And then we end up blowing a lot to get the Smolder Flash, which is pretty okay, but we just have nobody around to follow up because we have 2 people bot. So we should have 4 people on the bot half the map. But yeah, just make sure you're playing to set up for objectives. That way we're not fucking around because this shit's been dark for a minute.